Welcome back to Indiana News Desk. There are only a handful of locations east of the Mississippi that qualify for dark sky designation. Now this means they have world-class views of nighttime stars and very little light pollution. Getting the designation can be a major draw for visitors and could be an economic boon to the local economy. Sections of the Hoosier National Forest could qualify as one of those places. Tyler Lake heads into the field with some engineers to find out.
So let's go back across the dam and we'll just start shooting west. And
Bryce Heimbaugh and David Gutch are running around the Hoosier National Forest holding up little electronic devices. Their efforts are part of a high-tech approach to get an answer to a simple question. How dark is it in the Hoosier National Forest?
In the Midwest and the eastern United States, truly dark skies are a really rare asset anymore because there's so many more people than there are in, say, the western United States.
Mike Chavez and other folks at the Hoosier National Forest reached out to Indiana University for help to try and achieve dark sky status for the Hoosier National Forest. To gain the designation, the area needs to be monitored regularly with light monitors to determine the average amount of light pollution. In the past, this has been done manually with people heading out into the woods at night, sensors in hand, to gather data. But Heimbaugh has a better idea.
So something like this. This is a unihedron, kind of the standard sort of tool. And we looked at this and said, well, maybe we can build a device that could take these readings on an ongoing basis. We just leave the sensors out in the field.
He and his team are putting light sensors out in the Hoosier National Forest. They're rigging the sensors with technology that can beam a signal back to a device that puts all that information on a server that the Forest Service can access by simply going to a website. If they can work out all the kinks, the Forest Service will essentially have to do nothing to get the data needed for dark skies designation.
So in this case, the Hoosier National Forest, it requires no interaction on their part to get this data. What they see is the data is just available to them.
But first, they have to work out those kinks.
And just see if you get a signal.
To remotely collect the signals from the light sensors, they're using equipment that wasn't necessarily intended for a dense forest.
So it's supposed to be able to work for about 5 miles, but it was kind of designed for urban areas.
Much of the technology was meant to be part of what's called the Internet of Things. Think of things like a smart fridge or even a Fitbit.
And so these things are made by the millions. They're widely available and they're very inexpensive.
That's made doing research a lot cheaper. But it can present problems. The devices Heimbaugh is using are supposed to send a signal about 5 miles. But right now, they're going less than a mile.
And so what we're trying to understand is that because of the foliage that's out, because of the leaves? Is it because we don't have a clear line of sight? We may need to make sure that this access point is up higher.
I'd say we may be done for today.
Gutch says he enjoys this kind of troubleshooting. He graduated last year, but he wasn't ready to quit working on this project.
So I wanted to stick around with Bryce so that I can continue learning about how those systems work, so I can just have a better, I guess, more well-rounded understanding of how that technology works, so I can build it better on my own.
With real deadlines, real constraints, and really disappointed clients if the product doesn't measure up, Heimbaugh says this sort of hands-on work is invaluable to students who want to become engineers. But it's also valuable to the people they work with. Chavez says the partnership with Heimbaugh is the only way they could have gathered the data needed for dark sky designation.
You know, technologically, it might be feasible to send people out to gather that kind of data, but just practically, it would never happen for all sorts of reasons.
For Indiana News Desk, I'm Tyler Lake.
They hope to get the technology up and working soon enough to be taking measurements this fall. Heimbaugh says if they don't, they have a foolproof backup technology using Bluetooth to get the data from the light sensors. But that will mean a lot more trekking through the woods for him and his students.